Howdy everyone. Welcome to Inside Russia. My name is Konstantin and welcome to yet another daily update from Russia. Mods, could you please give me 5x5 if you can see and hear me well? I would really appreciate that. 5x5 from Lorna, 2x4. Versus 5x5, says Robert. Okay, great, let's go. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for coming to the stream. You know, everything is well, I have very important message. I think it's a very interesting message, and I think it concerns a lot of people, not just us in Russia. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to get to the message. It's going to be comment free for the first half of the stream, and then I will try to turn the comments on as soon as I finish. My friends, Soviet Union is the monster that is back, or is getting back, or is trying to get back. And I am seeing this, I start seeing this, I start smelling it, I start hearing this monster. I was born in the USSR. I grew up in the USSR. I learned how life in the USSR was with milk of my mother, so to speak. I know how the ways of the old countries were, of the old country were. I know the music that was playing in Soviet Union. I remember the smell of it. I remember the sound of it. And trust me, I don't like it. I hate it. I loved my life. I loved my family. I loved growing up. I loved my youth. But I didn't like my country back then. Well, everything started changing around 1986, 1987. Mikhail Gorbachev announced perestroika. It did not start with perestroika. You know what Soviet Union started, the demise of Soviet Union started with? The Gorbachev announcing the pluralism of opinions. You see, before, we hadn't had any pluralism of opinions. We were not allowed to have our own opinion that differed from the official state dogma, okay, communist dogma. It was not in the communist way of life, not in the state's way of life. People were not allowed to have their own opinions that were different from the, you know, this state's idea. All right. Mikhail Gorbachev announced pluralism of opinions, and the boiling in the country started. Then he announced perestroika. Perestroika was basically, it means reconstruction of the old ways and building the new ways of living. And we loved it. We jumped on this train right away because we smelled the freshness. We sensed something new, something big was being developed. Everyone loved it, not just us kids, but our parents and grandparents, everyone around it. The changes were up in the air. Soviet Union didn't stay for long with pluralism of opinions of different people, and it fell down with a big bang in 1991. One of the happiest moments in my life, one of the happiest events, one of the happiest days, so to speak, not just mine. So many people welcomed the Soviet Union turning into Russia. Fantastic. I never regretted. I have never regretted the USSR dying and giving life to Russia, a new country. Fantastic. Now, as I said in my brief history of Russia in the video I made, Russia had gone through a number of stages, 3 stages. The stormy years, the 90s, was very turbulent times of very fast changes. Then there were the rich years, the fat years, so to speak, 2000s, from 2000 to 2012, where everything was just great. Golden years of Russia. Everyone was rich, happy, prosperous, fantastic times. And then there was the demise, 2012, 2022. And then Russia kind of ceased to exist, because the new country that was born on February 24th is different. It's not Russia anymore. It has new paradigm, new idea, new direction, so to speak. Not Russia. This country is yet to be named. But guess what? In the last 3 months, I've started hearing the old music back. I started smelling the old smell coming back. I've started seeing things of the old country way back in the 80s. Yes, the good old Soviet Union is waking up, and it's trying to make a comeback. A comeback in the 21st century. Now, I have not heard from anyone in the government about anything like this. Oh, we're going to revive the USSR and stuff like that. No, this is just me. This is my opinion. I can be wrong, okay? But I'm merely sharing with you what I have been feeling in the last 3 months. Now, I think that you are watching me right now and you're asking me questions. And the biggest question is, why? What makes you think that the USSR is coming back? And that's a perfectly fine question. Let me answer. You see, I see the parallels of this new country with the old grand communist country, okay? And this is what they are. Back in that country, in the USSR, there were a few distinct features that made it different from the rest of the world and from today's Russia, well, from yesterday's Russia, for the matter of fact. Number one thing, we were not free. In the country, in the old country, we had a bunch of limitations. We had so many laws regulating and limiting our lives that it almost seemed like we had more regulations than freedoms. We could not leave the country. We could not move from one location to another location without asking permission. We could not go to serve in the army if we didn't want to. We could not work. Basically, we had to work because that was just in the laws of the USSR, we could not have a different opinion from the party line. Again, no pluralism of opinions. And it was not we are the people and you are the state there to serve us. It was vice versa. It is us, the state, and you are the people, small people. You are there to protect us, the state, to serve us, the state, and not to make any troubles whatsoever for us, the state. Okay, that's how Soviet Union worked. It's not, let's put it this way. We only could do things if the state allowed us to do them. Okay, like I said, no freedoms. we had to go and ask for permission from the state. There were tons of regulations, there were tons of procedures, and they were very demeaning. We didn't feel proud of being citizens of Soviet Union, you know. We always felt down, at least in the 80s. I'm not sure, I cannot say about 60s and 70s. I remember the 80s, and I'm talking about the 80s. We had to beg for permission to move from one place to another, to exchange one apartment on another. We could not open a business, okay? We could not make money freely. We only could be employed by state enterprises and things like that, okay? So we didn't have any freedoms. It was not we are the people, but us, the state, and you are the people to serve us. And we could not have our own opinion. There was no pluralism of opinions. That was the distinct features of the old USSR. And this is why I am saying and that I've been smelling the stink of the old country now. Because these distinct features are kind of being, taken from the top shelf, faraway shelf, being dusted off and being brought back to life, okay? It's really hard to believe it's happening, but it is happening. Now listen to this. What is happening today? Pluralism of opinions. It's haven't completely been gone, but it's on the fast track there, okay? Like I said in many streams, right from the day number 2, people started getting divided into 2 camps. One camp, majority, the ones who support the event, the actions that are being conducted right now. And another camp is that consists of people who do not support, who are against, okay? But there isn't an understanding that it's okay to have your opinion, okay? Because these people who don't support, they try to keep it quiet. Because that camp and the state that kind of backs up that camp by media and by all information, they're very aggressive, okay? They're canceling people out. If you speak something against, you have a good chance of your friends asking you tough questions. And the question, basically all questions come down to this one. Are you with us or are you against us? Are you with us or are you with them? And you ask, well, who, them? You know who them are. The collective West. The Nazis, the nationalists, and so forth. And you go, well, what if I'm just not with the Nazis, but I don't support what's going on? I don't like these things what's happening. And I don't like, let alone this event happening in the neighboring country. I don't like things that are happening in Russia. New laws that being introduced, new actions taken by the government. And they say, well, no, it's not, it doesn't work like that. It just does not work like that anymore. You gotta pick sides. And if you don't pick the right side, according to them, there's a good chance they stop talking to you. They cancel you out. But you know what? It's not the worst thing can happen, because in the USSR, they probably would rat you. Some people would rat you out, okay? I haven't heard of any cases so far, but who knows, okay? That, things deteriorating fast usually. So this is number one thing that is happening right now of the old, from like a reminiscent of the old country. Thing number 2, freedoms are being taken away one by one. And they started with the freedom of speech. You see, in Russia, in the country that existed from 91 to 2022, I never thought of saying anything and thinking of the words I would use, okay? I never thought of speaking up in that way, okay? I could basically say anything I wanted about the government. I could criticize the government. I could criticize all branches of the government. I could voice my opinion about anything. They tried to take freedoms, and they did actually slowly, but they were not radical steps, you know. For example, if you spoke in diminishing way about the government officials, about certain government officials, they could, you know, sue you, things like that, you know. Nothing major, nothing extreme. What happened in late February reminded me of the USSR. 3 laws were signed into existence. Well, 3 laws were actually amended, but the new rules are: if anyone in Russia says anything that contradicts official information of Russian government about special military operation that is being conducted in Ukraine, that harms Russian army, 15 years in prison, or I should say up to 15 years in prison. If if one spreads out fakes or disinformation, and fakes and disinformation is everything that hasn't been said by the Russian officials, okay? So you gotta understand, the definition of fakes and disinformation is very broad, okay? And if one spreads out disinformation and fakes, even though they're not so fake, you know, but Russian government says otherwise, then first it's a fine, hefty fine, first violation, second violation, up to a few years in prison. Then there is a law about sanctions. If one calls for more sanctions against Russia, then first offense, it's a huge fine, hefty, well, I shouldn't say huge or hefty, it's very large fine. And then second violation, that's prison time. Same thing if person criticizes the work that is the result of actions of Russian official government departments abroad, for example, embassies and so forth. And if one criticizes or spreads fakes or disinformation about work of those departments abroad, again, first violation is a fine, second violation is prison time, okay? So now we cannot speak anything that's on our minds. We have to think twice before we say, before we open our mouths. That's exactly what I remember from the old country, from the USSR. Exactly. My parents, my grandparents were teaching me, hey, watch your mouth. Before you say anything, think twice. You know, if you're in a group of people, there can be a secret agent, a sexot, секретный сотрудник, and, you know, he would definitely inform of your words to certain agency, you know, things like that. So this feeling is slowly coming back. That's the USSR feeling. I've said about pluralism of opinions vanishing. It's either you are with them or you are with us. And that's it. And you'd better not be with them, because this country is us. It's about us. It's with us. And the third thing about the USSR coming back, I start seeing it's coming back, is total control of the government, of actions of people. Well, obviously, we're not completely controlled at this point. No, not even close. But I see first steps being taken. The infrastructure is being laid out, and they're working very smart, in a very smart way. They're doing stepping stones again. I see things. I wonder how other Russians don't see them. Well, okay, that's our problem, you know, so to speak. So For example, Vladimir Putin just, I think yesterday, signed a new law into existence. Or perhaps it's not a law, it's an executive decree or something like that, official document that obliges all travel agents, when they sell a travel package to a foreign country, they must inform the government by putting all the information, who they sold, who the people go into, when, how much they paid, and things like that, their personal information, into official government's database, traveling database, okay? I think they must start doing it by 1st of September, and if they don't quote me on that, but I think so. Perhaps different dates, but if they don't start using that database by September 1st, for every single case of tours sold and not put into the database, there's a hefty fine of $15,000 or something like that. So imagine that. Why is the government doing this? Well, because it wants to control, it wants to know everything about us, where we go, how much we spend, who we go with, how long we stay, when we come back, when we leave. And I think they're going to consolidate this database with other databases so they can get digital profiles on us. And there are laws about digital profiles in place. It's called Off Digital Dossier. And it was a new law that was created during the COVID times, when everyone was preoccupied with the COVID scares, you know. So I see that as a first baby step towards control, increasing control. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a complete control like back in the USSR, but you know what? I don't like any control of the government over people. I've traveled all over the world and I've seen different cases. I've seen countries with much control and I've seen countries absolutely free, no control. And I like no control much better. I like we are the people model. We are the people, and you government, you do what we tell you to do. I don't like the model of it's us, the government, and you, the people, are there to protect us, serve us, okay? I don't like that. I'm the taxpayer, I'm the voter. I tell what to do, not vice versa. Unfortunately, like I said, like this video's name says, I started hearing the bells ringing. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding. Old forgotten sounds. I've started smelling the old stink from the 80s, okay? I've started listening to the old, hearing the old music. Not too loud, but it's still there. It's definitely there, okay? And my message is this: please know that we have some very disturbing things happening here in my country. And please do not ever repeat our mistake, okay? Freedoms are really easy to lose and are really, really difficult, hard to gain back. Thanks for hearing the message. That's what I wanted to share with you today. My good old country is slowly coming back to life. Okay, I'm about to turn on the comments, and I would like to ask you to keep this chat clean. I would like to ask you to think before you write anything, because Russia is not the safest place in the world right now. And you know, I'm trying to stay safe, and my mods are trying to keep me safe as possible. So please think twice before you put something down. The chat is on. Bruce Langworthy is the very first one today. Yarn Prepper and Lorna. Lorna is number 3 today. Unbelievable. Always number 1. Hello, hello, hello. Bruce wins. I'm laughing, but really, I'm really crying inside, you know, because this message that I delivered to you, it's the most sinister for me and for us, the Russians. Believe it or not, quite a few people actually welcome the idea of the USSR coming back. Because of one single reason. They have forgotten everything bad that existed then. Because of one single reason. Oops. And they remember everything good. And there were plenty of good things, you know. I'm not saying that the USSR was like 100% all bad. People were good. Some things were good, you know. We were young. Some things were good. But, gosh, the bad things were so bad that the very few of the bad ones are enough not to come back there, you know, ever again. Again, Bruce, Yarn Prepper, Lorna, Susan, Mommy, Chris G, Milan Plachek, Sylvia Santi, Robert Bates, Curtis, Dirk. There's a super chat from Reese Gray. Fantastic, thank you, Reese. I know what you have to say, what you got to say. Hang on. Hello from Canada, Mr. Popular. When this all started, I thought it would be impossible for a full return of the USSR. Today, I'm so sad to say I'm not sure. It seems Russians won't stand up. It's not even about standing up. It's about making them heard about this thing, about the USSR. Not so much about standing up. They can stand up or not stand up against the government, but you see, that's, in my mind, it's different. You just need to be heard, and they will be afraid to bring the old country. It's not the old country, to bring the old ways. They're saying, hey, it's a new country, there's no USSR and things like that, but hey, the procedures, the protocols, the laws, they come from the old countries, you know? So that's like a hellish hybrid. And unfortunately, Reese, I am also not sure if it's, you know, possible not to bring it back ever or not. I'm just sitting there and watching. I'm talking to Russians about this. I'm getting a lot of good feedback saying, hey, remember how great this was in the USSR? We need that back. You know, we need to get rid of all oligarchs. We need to get, you know, to get people to number one. They've forgotten all the bad stuff. They still remember the good stuff, you know. That's the problem. From Switzerland, 5 francs. In the south, we're forced to ready to give up. There is life for freedom and democracy. At which point are the Russian people ready to do the same? I don't know. It's not an answer. It's not the question to me. Ask Russian people. You know, Martin, I understand your message, but that's not, I'm the wrong person to ask. Legitimate question though. I'm drinking my regular tea as usual. Have a little setup, new setup for the studio. I don't know, let me know if you like it. Still toying with the lightning. Golden Griffon is here, the usual suspect. Thanks for coming back. Bruce. Mikhail Semyonovich Vorontsov is back. I'm not answering the question, but there's a general information about new car, a Russian car, Moskvich, that is planned to be manufactured here in Russia, in Moscow, in place of Renault, the French manufacturer. There will be no Moskvich. They fooled us. They fooled me, okay? And I fooled you. I was telling you in one of the streams that old cars coming back and, it's terrible quality and stuff like that. No, my friends. They're not gonna go that far to actually revive car making industry, because you need lots of resources. You need design institutes, you need tons of engineers. You gotta start with universities, okay? You're gonna educate new engineers. That's quite a few years. You need to give them some time to get the experience, sharpen their teeth, so to speak. You need to build new factories. You need to build factories for semiconductors. You're gonna start building, like, manufacturing semiconductors, and only then you can actually build your first car. Not gonna do that. I thought they would, but the quality would be terrible. No, my friends. They have invited the Chinese, saying, hey, we're going to give you this huge factory that was built, state-of-the-art factory that was built by the French. You come in and you bring your cars, but wheels off, okay? You bring your cars customs free to this factory, take wheels, screw them on, and there you go. That's Moskvich. You're gonna name this car Moskvich the way we tell you. So all we Russians have to say is the name Moskvich, but that's a Chinese car, completely manufactured in China, brought from China, wheels put back, Moskvich. There you go. Ariadne, good evening from Athens, Greece. Good evening from Rostov-on-Don, south of Russia. Ryan Smith, hello. Coco Mary, Tanya Christian, howdy. Paul Sherik, nice haircut. Yeah, they kind of messed it up. There's only one person who cuts me well, and that's my barber in Moscow. That's it. Everyone else just messes up. Ludmila Hopkins, my friends, if you want me to notice and answer your comment or question, please put it in caps. Couple super chats, one from Janet Pope, no message, but this is message powerful enough, thank you so much. And from Steve B, I hope this is okay, but I watched a very good BBC documentary a couple months ago about the rise and demise of Dosh TV station. Was very to see what happened to them. That's a heartbreak. Steve, I know that TV station, it was radio station at first. I think they even started back in the USSR in a very late stage of the country. And they were the beacon of freedom, the beacon of light, so to speak, among radio stations. Then they transformed into TV station, and they were awesome. Okay, that was the last remnant of the last pillar of freedom, free media in Russia, and no one shut them down. By the way, they just disbanded because they felt not safe for the journalists, for the reporters working for them, and they didn't want to risk their lives, their freedoms. They just disbanded. So, is there any talk about business being nationalized? From Luke King, a super chat. Thank you, Luke. Yes, there is talk about companies who leave Russia, the Western companies, due to sanctions on their own, not forced to leave, but they make a conscious decision. There is a talk about their assets being nationalized. It's not completely nationalized. I'm not an expert on this question. From what I heard and from what I understand, there will be a new management appointed by the government and placed in top of the companies. There will be CEO appointed, all the deputies and so forth. And the companies will not be able to leave Russia. They would have to continue working in the Russian market. But then after the sanctions are off and the old shareholders, old management would want to come, this new management would step down and let the old folks come back and take over the company. Okay, that's my understanding of how this thing works. Tilambus, do you fear a China-like super surveillance? I do. It's not here yet, but it's getting there. And China is the example. China signed a treaty with Russia providing, agreeing to provide so much technology, surveillance technology, for the good purpose, of course, for citizens' safety and things like that. Now, this cooperation is in limbo because Chinese companies, the juggernauts such as Huawei, Lenovo, they're leaving Russia quietly. They're saying everything's okay, we're still doing business with you, but in reality they're leaving, okay? So that might slow down the super surveillance system, being installed in place, but we'll see. Time will tell, How many travelers do you expect? IKDA, I'm not sure. What travelers? To where? If you need a laugh, then watch YouTube video of Ronald Reagan telling Soviet jokes. Oh, I've watched them plenty of times. I remember the joke about the plumber. It's number one. Cannot do afternoon in 10 years. Why? Because plumber comes that morning. That's so funny. Harry Podman is here. All right. Catherine F, hello from Germany. Stay safe, take care. Nice stream, like always. Thank you so much. It sounds not good to live in Russia nowadays. Well, we're still living here, this still is our country. You cannot choose your parents, your mom and dad. Even if they're messed up, that's still your parents. It's still our country. Terry the Terrible has an excellent question. Do you use the telescope much? The telescope to stargaze? That the one right behind me, right there? I used to. I love watching moon in the telescope. Not anymore because it's broken. Long story, but perhaps in the future if I fix it or buy a new one. Holger Schuster, hello from Switzerland. Hi there. Sophie Smith. Frank Barron, all modern cars are junk. I disagree. Lexus that my wife has owned for past 12 years is really good. It's pretty reliable. It's a fantastic car. James Rhodes, I agree with Janet, our modes shine, and I agree with you 100%, our modes shine. Ryan Smith, we take it for granted how we're able to live freely here in the US. Ryan, it's actually a very good question. I keep saying that. I keep saying, hey, you think you have it bad. You come to Russia, where I wish you would have come to the Soviet Union and spent 1 month there, okay? And then come back to America and then say how bad things are there. Unfortunately, I must admit that I can say now, you come to Russia and you spent even a couple of weeks here, and then you come back to the United States and tell me from the safety of the United States how bad you have it there. Greetings from San Francisco, SF Joe. What do you people 1825 feel about future? What do young people? Upset. Most are upset. Most are unwell. Most are unsettled, you know. Prayers and hopes for no complete return of USSR restrictions. Me too. Thank you so much. Let's pray later in the stream today. Yarn Prepper, what a fantastic message you have. Hang on, I'm gonna pin it. Peter Lilovich, what is fun that many people in the West do not understand this kind of our raiders for totalitarianism. Unlike them, we're there. Peter from former Czechoslovakia. Hey Peter, great to have you in the stream. Thank you. Stephen Daniel, I'm so grateful to be in America. You'd better. Sylvia, tonight's message is so scary. It's honest. It's honest, you know. It is scary. If you're scared to listen to my message, imagine how scared I am and people who understand the dangers the way I do understand them. Imagine how we are scared. Bogdan, don't let the system get you down. I'm trying to stay up as much as I can, but I'm only human, you know. Life from my point of view, at this moment, would you call yourself a proud Russian? I don't quite understand what you mean by what you call a proud Russian. If you could please specify, I would answer your question, but I just don't understand. Drag Rat Survivor, much love from Indiana. Thank you so much. Thank you for the streams. My family and I keep you in our hearts. Thank you so much. Please join in prayer at the end of the stream. Lawrence Mitchell, do you have a nickname that you would like to share with us? I don't. Konstantin. My short name is Kostya. It's gonna Kostya. Like, no one would pronounce it in the United States, Kostya. And I came up with this ingenious explanation. I said, Kostya is like, it's gonna cost you. Everyone was like, oh, okay, we got it now. So this is as close to nickname as I can get. Moy NYP, thank you for super chat. How are databases being maintained in the absence of both Oracle and SAP? I don't know. Pirated copies, perhaps. I don't know. But there are talks. We have the awesome system in Russia. Like, all our data is electronic form, and from any computer we can log in and do anything. From receive a new passport, like file like an inquiry into receiving a new passport, get new license, driver's license, you know, make a doctor's appointment, everything through computer. And now there is talk that we're coming back to old paper system due to absence of Oracle and SAP. So I don't know. Brian, do you think people who remember the old times want it to come back because they had consistency and some government income support? This is a huge mystery to me. Soviet Union, well, it's been like 30 years. 30 years is a very long time, but not long enough to forget about the dangers and the horrors of the old country completely. Okay, somehow a lot of Russians have forgotten the bad and only remember the good. And again, there was good, but not much, but like from the state point of view. But there were the good things, you know. And somehow people do not remember the bad stuff. That's why they don't mind. That's why they think it's good to come back to the old ways. Duke Fishing, Moskvich cars to offer options such as air conditioning, sunroof, rice cooker. Trust me, Moskvich is going to be a decent car, I'm pretty sure. Chinese, what is the last time you looked at that Chinese car? Okay, you'd be surprised, my friend. Chinese are making pretty good cars these days. How do I know? Plenty of Chinese cars in Russia. My neighbor in my building where I live in Moscow has a Chinese car, bought brand new, very cheap, a cost of I think 1/4 of a 1/3 of a Mercedes of a similar class. In the car is actually pretty good. He took me for a ride. I was surprised. So trust me, Chinese cars will have everything. Fretnas Botki, IT man, Polish American. Excellent, excellent. Kawaii 93, thank you so much. Buddy, super surveillance coming to Canada. Well, please don't make our mistakes, you know. Lawrence Mitchell, it is my understanding that there are many commercial airline aircraft in Russia leased from Ireland companies. Yes, not only Irish companies, but from the Western companies, American, European. And this is the problem, because those planes cannot fly anywhere outside of Russia. They'll be arrested immediately. Lectrits. I'm old enough to remember defections of performers. I remember the defection of Alexander Mogilny, the ice hockey player. It was the first defection in I've seen in my life, and I had seen in my life, and it was pretty, I don't know, not interesting, but it's pretty shocking. Else Otto, 1984, George Orwell, Big Brother is watching you. Look, one of my most favorite books. Also read The Animal Farm by the same author. Nikki Rottle from Pennsylvania, USA. Hi, Nikki. Jeff Vincent, the most important message you share is think for yourself. That's true. Flapdroll, they had a decent space program though. Not any longer. Sean P, a good question. Thoughts on the European Union banning Russia's oil? Disaster for Russia, my friend. Where are we gonna get our money from? Granted, Europe's gonna suffer because oil's gonna go up and then customers will end up paying more, but you know what? Where are we Russians gonna get our money from? Because half of our budget was coming from sales of natural gas and oil. Where are we gonna get our money from? Simple question. I don't understand how come Russians do not try to ask that question. The government must know the answer. I mean, people who run in the countries, they're not stupid. I think that they're smart. Chris G, do you see anything happening right now that makes you hopeful for the future of your country? Chris, In Russia, we say that uh, a human, a person, plans on what he or she is going to do, but the God really knows what person is going to do. I really believe that God somehow will help this situation, and it will stop and it will be rectified. That's basically my general idea behind hopeful future. I pray for that every day. I invite and I ask you to come join me and pray with me, and I think that many people do. Calgary, Canada. Alex, I still remember 1988. One of the most profound effects on me was the opening of the Olympic Games in Calgary. It was such a show, and I was looking at it, and it was like a window to a different world, very colorful, very fantastic, Funny. You know what I recalled? I remember the opening ceremony, and there was a general shot of the audience, and all of a sudden, this middle-aged guy with mustache, like really rough looking, in the Canadian flag and in the uniform of Canadian Team Canada, and all of a sudden there was a close-up of that guy. And the entire world was watching the opening of Calgary Olympics Games, and this guy looked at the camera and he said, "All right," something like that. "All right," and I was looking. I was like, "Wow, everything's gonna be all right now." Somehow I still remember that. It's amazing. You can't choose your parents, but you can still choose future for your kids. Agreed. I could not agree more with you. Cheers from Barcelona. Wow. Danny, hello to Barcelona from south of Russia. How do you see Russia 20 years from now? There are many paths. I think dozen or perhaps even more. And depending on which one Russia chooses, depending on how fast and how strong God helps our country, then Russia will end up on one of the paths, okay? And they're absolutely different. Some are really good, some are bad, so I don't know. Gene Shaw, did Russia ever show the movie White Knight with Baryshnikov? I haven't heard of that movie, but I'm not a huge movie expert. I don't know. Martin, we are paying check-in time. Thank you, Bob. Martin, we are paying 1,000 euros more for 2,000 liter heating oil than last year. In Russia, we're paying in that proportion for pretty much everything else but the heating oil. Arnett Sethoff, hello from Texas. Are Russians buying silver and gold to stash away like some people do here in the USA? You know what, Arnett? I misinformed many people, I admit. I had thought that Russians cannot buy and own gold as of metal, but it turns out we can. Turns out there's one bank who's owned by the government. That bank sells pieces of gold, pieces of silver, palladium, I think rare metals. So I don't know many Russians who buy gold. I don't know any Russian who buys gold and stashes it as a reserve, you know. Perhaps Russians don't have that much of a free money to spend. All they make, they spend for food, you know, for house, things like that, you know. The last question, Kelly D, Mr. Popular, were you able to listen to Western music, rock bands in the 80s? Say hello to your lovely wife. Love your channel. Thank you so much, Kelly. I and us, we were able to listen to the rock bands, the metal bands. Yes, late 80s, Russia started opening up. It opened up for Western movies. It opened up for Western music. It opened up for Western food, McDonald's, you know. And music was fantastic, was a huge part of our life, you know. So yes, there's a huge super chat from JM. Hope you and your family are well. I've been watching for many years and I thought this current situation in Russia was coming. Not me. It caught me by surprise. I was hoping I was wrong. How about I buy you and wife lunch? Thank you so much, JM. Thank you, much appreciated. Lunch it is, or rather breakfast. I'm gonna take my wife out for breakfast either on Sunday or Saturday. And thank you so much. My friends, I would like to finish up the stream by prayer. I am asking you to join me in prayer. I'm asking you to, if you're a believer, to pray with me, and if you're not, just pray with me anyway. Send good vibes, good wishes to people. You know, to me, you're all believers because you have hearts that are beating and there is love in your hearts and God is love. That's what it's all about. I've yet to see one non-believer in my life. It's just some people don't know that they're believers. And if you don't trust in God, that's I think totally okay because He trusts in you. He believes in you, you know. So let me find. Shall we? Dear God, thank you so much for giving us food on our tables, giving us roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love, who love us, our family, our loved ones, friends, colleagues, and simply good people. Thank you so much. I would like to ask you to stop the bloodshed in Ukraine as soon as possible. I want you to help every single person who's been affected in a bad way. I want to ask you to reach out and put sense into the heads, put love, mercy, and remorse into the hearts of people who make decisions on whether to continue or to stop this event. And I want you to open their eyes so they see what's been done and they will get terrified so much they will stop it immediately. I would like to thank you for giving us wisdom to understand that our children need to be brought up differently. The way that when they grow and become adults, they will not fight, they will not have conflicts, but love one another and befriend one another. I would like to ask you to send angels to help everyone in Ukraine. The civilians, troops, Ukrainian troops, Russian troops, so not one single piece of blood drops on the ground anymore. I would like to ask you to give people who are praying with me in this live stream chat and people who are just watching us praying, Give them strength, give them happiness, give them common sense, give them love. Reach out and help them. Everyone has a prayer and has a wish for himself or herself. Please grant that wish. Make that wish come true. Answer their prayers. I would like to mention a few people here. They reached out and asked me to mention their names in the stream. So we all pray for them, so their wishes, their prayers are granted. They are Shay, Rafaela from, and Anna, a daughter. I had some good news from them. William, Elena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Ola, Dasha, Sky, and Bonnie, Rebecca, Melissa, Buzz, and Mary, Jean-Paul, Paula, Jane, Michael, Marlene, Mikhail's family, Demetrius and Kieran, Maddie, Sharon, Narnian Lady, Susan S., Brantley, Sabrina Fell, Moby1, Skipper09, Sebastian, Maverick, his mom, Susan, Fiona, Paul Binns, Stephen Lindholm, Alan Townsend, Sandy. Please, again, God, reach out to them, touch their hearts, touch their heads, and give them what they're asking for. Give their families happiness, give their families reassurance, give their families strength, and answer their prayers, please. Thank you very much. Amen. My friends, thank you for coming to hear my message today. It was a good stream. Thank you so much. There will be one another tomorrow, as usual. And thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone. Usual suspects, serial super chatters. Thanks, everyone. You are absolutely awesome, and you rock. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Now, I will try to end the stream from right here. Nope, no such luck. Just crazy. There you go.